Hey everybody, welcome back to the Truck Show podcast, and as you can hear from my voice, I'm probably not in the pod shed this week. No, I'm actually in a hotel room in Moab, Utah. So yeah, I made it out. I made it safely in one piece, and I completed the trip to Moab that I started a year ago. So I'm super excited to be here. I've already seen a ton of wonderful people in town, and it's going to be a great week. So got a lot of stuff going on here. Apologize that this isn't going to be as produced as our normal shows, but I'm going to do my best. It's a little harder when you have to record without the board as it is. So leading up to this week, it's been insane. I spent the last 4 days at the end of last week in St. George with Britt at American Adventure Lab, and we were designing and building a new product for the Wrangler. And so we teased it online, and the response has been insane. So Britt's calling it the Power Pack Rack, which will most likely use a KC flat battery. The one in mine is a concept for now. It's 105 amp hours, but it mounts under the shelf and uses otherwise unused space if you have a cargo shelf in there. And it's awesome. The amount of flexibility that you get from this setup is insane. So right now, Britt's plan is to make it backwards compatible to people who've already purchased the AAL cargo shelf for JL, JK, and Bronco. Could easily expand to pickups. More to come on that because this is going to be a really cool product for a lot of people, and just trying to get it going on, but unfortunately I wasn't able to finish wiring it. So if we go back to last week after I got home, I spent several hours every evening, every night, routing wires, hooking up all the Red Arc components. This is way more complicated because you have to run the wires up to the rack where all the componentry is hidden, and then you have to find where to get the grounds and move. It's a lot more complicated than my old Jeep, because in this one we stepped up to the Red Arc solid state BCDC Alpha 50R, which is awesome because it doesn't need the individual fuses. Got the Rogue, the Red Vision, and that Red Vision screen actually goes inside the tailgate table, so when you drop the tailgate table down you can see the Red Vision screen, and it has an app so you can control all your electronics from your phone. It allows for solar charging, it allows for alternator charging, and it allows you to turn off different components individually, run them off there, see what the draw is. I mean, it's an incredible system, and I can't wait to do it. But talking about the tailgate table, we actually took the old cutting board wood from my old Jeep. It survived the accident, and we were able to take it out, and Britt gave me the new backing plate for the new table that had the Red Arc cutout in it, and we were able to rebuild that with the wood and the lower part. And so I think it's pretty cool that it survived the crash. I think it's pretty awesome to have something organic in the new Jeep that bridges it back to the old one, and I can't wait to get Britt back on the show soon to walk us through all the cool products that he's working on. He's got a ton of truck stuff that's exploding, especially Ranger Raptor in there. There's just a lot going on. And the Jeep was at the Overland Expo's Orange County show a couple weeks ago in the Optima booth. And Optima gave me an orange top, and they said, hey, we want to display your Jeep. We'll give you an orange top. This is their new lithium-ion line. And I've been really, really impressed so far. It's got the same cold cranking amps as the old battery, or maybe it's a little bit more, but it weighs 22 pounds versus 67 on the old AGM battery. It's also got Bluetooth. It's got battery protection. It's got a BMS that shuts down at basically 35%. So it always has energy left over to jumpstart yourself in a sense. And it also gives you the temperature of the battery and the circuit board so you can keep an eye on that. And so a 392, tight engine compartment, big engine, lots of heat. They said, hey, we want to give you this battery. Go do all the things you do in your Jeep, especially slow speed off-roading, on the highway, through the desert, and then let's report back, because if it will stay cool enough in yours, it'll work in anything. And so far it's been absolutely great. So can't wait to let you guys know a little bit more about the lithium battery and what it's like to live with, because it's a little bit different than an AGM, especially if you have a maintainer or a charger. You have to have an algorithm on those things that are lithium specific. So anyway, lots of lithium battery stuff going on in the Adventure Jeep. So all right, so I got to Moab yesterday. The day before, I attended the WeMo rally for the Western Mojave. It's actually an anti-WeMo rally at the Jawbone store to support Corva and Cal 4-Wheel in my new role I have for SEMA. So maybe some of you saw the announcement last week, but none other than Sean P. Holman is now the new interim executive director of the Off-Road Business Association. And so I'll be helping SEMA revive Orba. And as I take the reins and help relaunch and rebuild Orba, don't be surprised if you're a listener and you own a company that you get a call from me wearing my other hat. It's going to be a pretty amazing addition to the industry. Really can't wait to take it to the next level. I've got some amazing backing from SEMA, They've put some team members in place that are fantastic. And I would be more than happy to talk to you guys more about Orba. If any of you are interested, email me, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want it on the show, I'll talk more about it. But that's sort of my other life in a different hat right now, but something else keeping me busy. So on a side note, driving out here, I averaged 16 miles per gallon in the Adventure Jeep. So I thought that was pretty good. And the new Bilsteins are amazing on the highway. The Jeep's going to see first dirt this week, and can't wait to take it off-road and feel those shocks in the dirt. It's going to be great. Let's see. One last thing before we start the show. I just got back from the Jeep reveal last night, and wow, they are kicking off the 60th anniversary of Easter Jeep Safari with a huge bang. They had a invite-only deal. You can go to my Instagram or Truck Show Podcast Instagram and see all the vehicles. They gave an early preview of the next 12 for 12 drop, which is the Rewind. It's a purple Jeep with amazing 80s graphics on it. It is absolutely awesome. So cool. If you grew up as a kid of the 80s or 90s like I did, it totally will resonate with you. They showed the new Cherokee as a Trailhawk, which we've all been kind of waiting for, and a modified version of the new Recon EV with 34s on it, which was awesome with the doors off and the windows out and all that. I think that's going to be a pretty cool vehicle. And then they also donated to the Red Rock 4-Wheel Drive Club, or Red Rock 4-Wheelers. They've been here doing Easter Jeep Safari, their event, for 60 years. And it's amazing that we all get to come and be a part of it. But Jeep donated a brand new Gladiator that they built up through Mopar and Mopar Accessories and affiliates, and donated that as the Red Rock edition for them for all the trail use out here. So that was a really nice gesture of Jeep. And also the guy, or the family who owns Walker Drugs, the general store here in town, Jeep's been in their parking lot for over 20 years with their display, and they gave him an internal award. He's the first person to ever get be outside the company, get it externally, the Golden Duck Award. So it was cool to see Jeep giving back to the community while teasing a whole bunch of concepts. And I heard that that's not it. There's more to come. So anyway, that's a lot. I want to know, how was your week? Was it anything like mine, my last week and a half? It's crazy. I'm even getting these shows out, but here I am. So on the show is our friend Ben Palmer. You'll remember him. He's the scout guy, 406 Garage. Also used to work for AEV, was one of our very first guests. And we'll get to him in just a minute. But I just wanted to remind you that the Truck Show Podcast is proudly brought to you in partnership with AMSOIL, the maker of the best synthetics and the same ones we use in our rigs. And AMSOIL is more than synthetic oil. They also make some of the finest lubes, greases, additives, filters, car care products, and yes, even merch. Right now, the current promotion is free car shampoo if you spend $100 or more through April 7th. So buy any of those great products, and you get yourself some of AMSOIL's awesome free foaming car shampoo. It's great in a foam cannon. I absolutely love it. When I get back from Moab, I'm going to go ahead and do a little social post on it so you can see how it works. But I love it. AMSOIL makes great products. When we use AMSOIL products to protect our rigs, you can do the same by heading to AMSOIL.com. Do you need a knife? Then point your browser to kershaw.kaiusa.com and explore their line of exceptional pocket knives. They have a huge selection of quality knives from EDCs and made-in-American knives, and yes, even automatics. Score one for yourself today, and if you want to treat yourself to the latest in adventure gear and upgrades for your vehicle, go to OVRMag.com and use the code @TruckShowPodcast for a discount on print or 1-year access to our digital library for free. Please help me to keep the Truck Show Podcast free by supporting our sponsors or leaving reviews on Apple or Spotify. And don't forget to check TruckShowPodcast.com for the latest deals.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck, 'cause truck rhymes with the Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything in between. We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel, electricity, and on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Oh, oh.
It's the Truck Show with your host, Holman.
All right, this is an interview that I did at the end of last year. I'm so sorry, Ben, that's taken so long to get it up. We just had quite the backlog. So finally, we're getting to our friend and scout guru, Ben Palmer. Let's welcome him to the show. So with me today in the pod shed, virtually, is a good friend, Ben Palmer, who is also one of our first listeners and one of our first guests of the Truck Show podcast. You may remember him from AEV, or coming in to talk about his business, 406 Garage, or talking with good friend Casey Liddell. And so he's been a big part of the podcast throughout its life, and a guest, a listener, all that. And we just haven't talked to him for a while. And I thought, you know what? There's a lot of stuff going on at 406 Garage. Let's get Ben back. So Ben, welcome to the Podshed.
Yeah, lots of change, lots of things have happened, lots of good stuff. I actually want to touch on the early listener thing.
Yeah.
I think I actually was one of the first 10 or 15 guests on the podcast.
Yeah, way back when.
Early.
Yeah,
back in the dark ages.
The Santa Ana studio with ants.
Oh God, yeah, the ant farm.
Back when there were two of us doing the show.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a threesome at that point.
That's right. So. But yeah, you had worked at AV. We brought you on early to talk about AV stuff. I think you brought us a Recruit, a 1500 Ram, and you came in studio. And then when you went out on your own, you started doing like weird scout stuff, and it was sort of ahead of the curve because everybody's sort of like, oh yeah, there's Bronco people, there's Jeep people, and then there's a few weirdo scout people out there like, oh, scout. And then Volkswagen buys a trademark and decides to name an entire electric vehicle company, Scout, and all of a sudden the resurgence in international products, Scout, all that has exploded. And we should touch on what does that mean for your business, and obviously new branding, new logo. I mean, you've got a lot going on. I don't even know where to start, to be honest.
Yeah, the Scout Motors thing has been really fun to watch, and I think it's been great for all of us. There's I say a handful because I feel like there's a handful of us that, buy, sell, restore, whatever, internationals across the country. There's more than a handful, but there's 6 or 8 guys I know that do it on a pretty regular basis. And it's been fun watching the Scout Motors thing. We were all a little, taken back initially, like, oh, electric vehicle. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Yeah. You stole the Scout name. Great. Good job for you. Nice work. Way to backdoor your way into the American market. But, once they established it as an actual standalone company and they got together and they actually talked to all these guys that have owned these scout restoration shops forever, and they said, we want to incorporate the essence of the Scout into this vehicle. We truly want you guys to be a part of this too. And once they started doing that, everybody was like, okay, these guys are like, they're legit, they're for real. And I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I know there's, a lot of people that came from Rivian and a few other companies that kind of circled around with them. And they got some really amazing people on their design and engineering team. And when they did finally launch that first product and everybody got to see it, it's like, you know what? You guys really listened.
Yeah, I was there. I was amazed when they pulled off the sheets, and I went, okay, it looks like we have something here. And it does pay homage to, I think, the legacy while being fully modern. And it's a hard thing to do when you buy a trademark and you buy tradition. How can you parlay that into something special and modern and without, bastardizing what you got or cheapening it or ruining it, And I feel like where they're at is pretty cool. I just wonder what'll happen with the EV credits going away. Although they're a little bit special because they've got the range extended harvester version, and I think that's going to insulate them quite a bit. I think being able to use a gas station infrastructure to keep going is, huge in that market right now.
Yeah, I mean, one of the design cues, just because I can't miss out on this, my favorite design cue that they've incorporated is they did the front row bench seat.
Yeah, I love that too.
Like, no auto manufacturer was willing to even attempt that in the last, 15, 20 years.
Basically a mid-sized truck, whereas the full-size trucks, you really got to go to, I think, a heavy duty. There's a couple 1500s that might have a 40-20-40 split bench these days, but it was cool, and it works. Like, you look at it and you're like, yeah, that's totally fine. It doesn't look out of place. It's not weird. And a lot of people at the reveal were like, I actually want the bench seat.
Yeah. And then as far as the EV credits go, I mean, there's a lot of rumors and there's a lot of information and stuff out there. But my take on that is they have a certain amount of EV stuff that they have to satisfy because that was what they were granted to be able to build these vehicles in the States. But I truly think that their ultimate, their end goal is like, okay, how do we incorporate a gas motor back into this thing? And how do we, have the EV as the smaller segment of our business and have the gasoline ICE motors as a larger segment of
Well,
our
you
business.
see that a little bit with Stellantis because a lot of their EV platforms that were only going to be EV are now coming out with ICE variants, and Hemi's returning to Ram and
Right. And I
all
think
that
that's
stuff.
what they're doing.
We'll
If
see.
I had to guess.
I don't know if that platform allows for it, although it is body and frame, so
It
that's
is,
cool. It'll be interesting to see. I think there's a lot of product planners right now. You'll see a lot of these EVs that were promised being delayed a couple of years because they're pivoting, and I don't think anybody really knows what the true demand is because everything's been propped up with subsidies. The end of this month, they go away. And the last 2 months of EV sales have been off the chart, but the reality is that's because everybody's trying to get those cheap cars before they go away. Once
Yeah,
they're
the cash grab.
once they're $7,500 more expensive, that's going to change the market significantly.
Yeah. Well, and you see states like Oregon, Washington, and California that are doing increases for miles per driven for electric vehicles, and they're increasing the road tax for electric vehicles and trying to grab more money from those guys because they're realizing that all the ICE vehicles that are contributing to the tax money by buying fuel, they're not getting that money from the EVs, so they're trying to figure out
100%.
ways. So they're making EVs more expensive.
Well, and EVs are heavy too, so they have more wear and tear on the roads and things like
Absolutely.
that. Parking structures, that were never designed to have that many vehicles that are 20% heavier than what used to park there. For example, in cities like, looking at old parking structures, going, what happens when you put 2,000 vehicles that are 20% heavier? Was this structure designed for that much weight? And electricity out west is not affordable either. So it'll be interesting because I think if you can make a case for EV, you have solar panels on your roof, you make your own electricity, you have the ability to use that to power your car. I think there's definitely some good use cases, such as last mile delivery, buses, your around town car. But for your daily driver, hybrid is probably the right choice for most people. And for weirdos like us, it's big gas guzzling V8s because that's what makes us happy.
Yeah, horsepower and tire smoke.
That's right. All right, so talk about this redesign. And I saw you posted on your Instagram page, and it was a old international service truck, kind of a silver color with this new logo on it. It was like, well, that looks pretty rad. What's the story behind it?
So we've been doing this business this is year 7. I know you kind of called it like the hobby business, but it was a hobby for a long time until I decided to leave my corporate career and go at it full tilt, which was the end of 2018. And when I initially, you got to have a sticker to put on cars. Everybody's got to have a logo and stuff like that. I dumbly wanted to have way too many things on the sticker because I wanted it to look cool. So like it had my little travel all on it, and I wanted it to be like coming out of a barn, and I wanted it to be on a farm, and I wanted the mountains in the background and the Montana sunrise, so the sticker was cool, but like it was so busy, and it is 100% my fault that it was not great, right? So the last couple of years I've been thinking about doing a redesign, and I've been very fortunate to be in a circle of a lot of really cool people, and one of those people was the late Ken Block. I was friends with a lot of people that he worked with. I was fortunate to meet Ken and go through his shop in Park City and get to see all the race cars and know some of the people that worked there. And I just, I was very fortunate in that respect. And I love Ken. He was awesome. And I'm not going to name his name because he's a busy guy and kind of high profile, but the guy that was Ken's right-hand guy that was the designer for all the liveries for Ken's race cars, the Hoonigan brand, the Ken Block Racing, the Ken Block Society, everything that Ken has ever done, this gentleman helped him do the artwork and design for. And he was gracious enough to talk to me and say, dude, I would love to help you redesign this brand and come up with something that's really going to stick for you going forward. A lot of people take these older logos and modernize them, and bring them to the future and put their name into an old graphic design or whatever. So we kind of started with that idea, and I was like, hey man, we really do International Harvester is our core. That's what we do a lot of: scouts, trucks, travel-alls, service trucks, semi trucks, whatever. We just we do tractors, we do a little everything. I said, so I got to figure out some way to incorporate the love of Montana for the business, as well as incorporate to let people know that we do IH. And I gave that to him, that basically that sentence. And he literally, like 2 weeks later, fires back this logo that you see right there. And it is not a copy of the IH logo, but there's enough pieces in that when you look at it that if you know anything, it's like, oh, wow, that looks like the IH logo, but it's not. So we can't get trademarked. You know what I mean? So it was awesome because he took this really complicated logo that I had and he simplified it down so simple, yet it tells everything that we need it to tell. So I just feel really fortunate that we got to work with him.
So 406 is the area code for basically all of Montana, right?
It is the only area code. That's where my kids were born. It's where we lived for 15 years. It's where I will. We can talk about that too. That's
because you're in Oregon
window here, and I'm moving back to
okay.
Montana.
I was wondering about that because I was thinking, well, you're in Oregon and you're talking about Montana, and I'm like, wait a second, and I realized, oh, 406 Garage. He'd always had that love with Montana, and that was in the name of the company.
Yeah, from day one, it's always been there. That's my heart. That's my home. I came back to Oregon in 2012 to help take care of my parents who were elderly, and basically, I'm an only child. So if I didn't come help, then there would be nobody, and I was just too far away. Then my two boys were their only grandkids they had, and stuff like that. So it came down to, all right, I just got to pull the plug on Montana for right now. I got to go back to Oregon, help mom and dad, and everything like that. It was good timing subsequently, just because the year we came back, unfortunately, my dad actually passed away. So then it was just my mom. So we've been back here for almost 15 years. And mom's doing great, and she's been able to participate in my kids' lives and sports and school, and it's wonderful. But Montana is home. Montana is my heart. Montana is where that's where I'm going to spend the rest of my life. So my youngest son graduates in 2027, June, and our plan is to pack up everything and sell everything and go back to Montana when he's done.
And then you're going to have, I imagine, enough property for your shop and all that kind of stuff when you get there?
Yeah, hopefully we'll have more than we have now, and build a new shop and continue. Where we live is irrelevant to the business. The business, most of the stuff that we sell goes to the East Coast or goes overseas, and so it just goes on a transport truck. So I just need to have the ability to have a transport truck be able to pick up these rigs and take them to the customers when we're done.
So let's talk about your YouTube page for a moment. If you go to the website 406garage.com, boom. And if you go to Instagram at 406garage, boom. And if you go to YouTube at 406garage3, the hell is going on with your marketing there, Ben?
I don't know who got the 406 garage before me, but I tried it, and then they suggested 2. We tried 2. That didn't work. Went to 3. It's like, oh, 3 is available. I'm like, why?
Why not official? 406 Garage official.
I know. Like, why? So I check on it periodically, and I have for several years. Nope, I'm still, whoever has it, you should reach out to me and I'll give you $100 for it or something. I don't know.
All right, you heard it here first. Whoever has the original 406 Garage on YouTube. I was looking at it. I was laughing the other day. I go, when 406 Garage 3, it's like the Temu site for 406 Garage.
And the funniest thing though, really is if you type in just 406 Garage on YouTube, it comes right up.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And we're the top of the list, whatever. So it's fine, but it is silly that there's one little asterisk at the end that's different. Yeah, I agree. So,
well, you've been friends with Casey Liddell for a long time. In fact, you guys came on the show together at one point, and I'm sure his YouTube success has probably helped yours as well. It looks like you guys have kind of grown together a little bit.
Yeah, he's on a different level.
Yeah, no, he moved up.
Skyscraper level.
Yeah.
So that guy actually has. He does as many views as like Heavy D does. Like his I think his monthly view count for his channel is around 12 to 14 million.
Ah, come on. That's that's like 40 years of the
level.
Podcast.
Right. So
us mere mortals are just hanging down here in the slop while guys like that are up in the I don't know, Mars or something.
Well, Casey made a choice to make YouTube a business.
Yeah.
And YouTube
he's done a great job at it.
Oh yeah. YouTube for us has always been, we want to tell the story of the trucks, show the trucks, and show what we do. It is not something that we are banking on the fact that that's going to be a revenue source for us, so.
Yeah, no, I love it because you will post trucks and you'll be like, one owner, two owner, whatever, special one. This one's, AC, power brakes, power steering, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll be like, I drove by this for 20 years and the owner finally gave it up to me. Or we've got this one that's got original paint that I've had my eye on. Or this one, somebody passed away and they didn't know what to do with it. And they found me on the internet and asked if I knew someone. So I bought it. And like every vehicle has a really cool story, and you do a good job about walking through each of these vehicles that you're getting. Because basically what you'll do is you buy a bunch of them, you fix them up, you sell them, or find a client that wants it to be more bespoke, and then you go do exactly what that client wants. And you've done a great job of preserving, especially the original paint ones, trying to keep the patina alive. And
I hate painting them.
I know you do. And still making them mechanically sound. Everything underneath is good. You go through the whole thing, but it earned that age that's on it, and you've been really good at keeping that as part of the story for most of these vehicles.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I feel like the story of every rig is like the soul of the truck, and if you don't get the story, it loses the soul. And I selfishly, a long time ago when we first started filming this and doing the YouTube, my thought was, how cool would it be if we get the story from the original guy or the daughter or the son or whoever it is, and we get that video, we get that story on video, and then 20, 30, 40 years from now, somebody owns this truck and buys it somewhere, and they get on YouTube and somehow they stumble on it and they find this video from 20, 30 years ago and go, oh my gosh,
that's
this
my
is where
truck.
my truck came from.
Yeah.
This is the guy.
Yeah.
Like that. I hope someday that's what happens,
So you also have a new website coming out, and I'm guessing that has to do with your logo and marketing redesign. And is this going to be completely different?
Yeah, it will have a lot of the same flavor, but we're gonna incorporate Shopify and all the merch and stuff. We've had for years people asking, hey, I want to buy a sweatshirt, I want to buy a hat, I want to buy a t-shirt, I want to buy a sticker, whatever. And I don't think most people realize that for the most part, this whole gig is a one-man show.
Yeah. Hey, I know the feeling.
And I struggle to have the time to do all the things that everybody wants us to do to be able to. And so if I opened myself up to a store and I had to stock all the inventory, I would fail miserably.
Yeah.
So we're setting up a Shopify with a third party that will actually
the on-demand stuff.
Yeah.
I've looked at that. I just don't know if I have enough. You get the people like, oh, do you have shirts? Do you have stickers? And I'm afraid that I would go through all this work, start it up, and then they would basically disappear after all the early adopters got theirs. Then I would just have a store with. So I don't know. I struggle with that one because I'd love to do the merch. I'd love to get some new shirts and stuff out there, but then it's like it's a lot of work.
So I think that's the same for me. So with the third party company doing it, you can set up all the logos and set everything up and put it on the website, and they just print as they sell.
Yeah.
So you don't have to stock the inventory. You don't have any minimums and things like that. And that really, for me, is the only way that I can justify it. I feel like we'll sell quite a bit of it, but I agree with you. I think after the core people all get it, it will kind of stair step down a little.
Yeah, so I think about that all the time, and it's like, man, we have a cool logo. I know we could sell some shirts. I just don't know if I could sell enough shirts to make it a business and, a secondary line item under the business. It's a lot. It's a lot, as you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing it because the people on YouTube requested a lot. I get that email an awful lot. I mean, we do a sticker and a keychain and some little stuff whenever we sell a vehicle for somebody, and a lot of people just say, hey, dude, it'd be really cool if we get a hat and a t-shirt and a hoodie or whatever to go with our truck. And so I feel like I'm kind of let them down by not doing that. And I'm not going to just print like 10 or 12 at a time. So,
right. Yeah. It's super expensive.
It's like, okay. So when I had my web guy redesign, I said, look, we need to build like an actual store on the page, have it available so people can do it. And it's just automated so that I don't have to babysit it. So that was the idea behind that.
We'll see. Let me know how it works. I may bug you about how it's going, because that's what I thought about doing too. And it makes the product a little bit more expensive, but you're kind of going to a hardcore niche of fans anyway, and I feel like they would be willing to pay for it to get it. Otherwise, it doesn't exist, right?
Right. Well, and for me, it's like I won't sell a t-shirt or a hoodie or hat unless it's quality, because if you get, no offense to this company, but if you just sell a bunch of Gildan
Yeah.
t-shirts, you wear them
Not
three
my
times,
favorites.
they're all scratchy and you
Yeah.
throw them out. Like, nobody's going to want to spend money and help support you if they get a product that they can't wear. So
Yep.
I'm going to be very picky about what I actually sell, and it probably will be a little more expensive, but at the same time, it will be a quality product that you can have for years.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. All right, so speaking of quality products that you can have for years, let's go back to the vehicles. I'm kind of curious what some of your favorite builds that have gone through the shop recently are, and then I'm also curious, with the resurgence of International and Scout, what are the big movers? Are there people coming to you because they heard the word Scout, they Google and go, "Oh, a Scout's like a Bronco Jeep thing, or Blazer thing," or are they saying, "I don't really like the Scout. I was kind of curious, but I saw this Travelall. I didn't know there was something as like a suburban alternative." Like, are there new people? Is Scout kind of the driver? Are the people falling in love with the trucks and the SUVs? And what are some of the cool builds coming through the shop lately?
The majority of what I get, believe it or not, is people have a memory. People have an experience, a life experience, some point in their life that a vehicle touched them, and they want to relive that. So they grew up with their grandpa's Travelall. Their family had a Scout when they were kids, and it's long gone. And now they have come full circle. They have kids, and they want to take a Travelall or a Scout or a pickup like their grandpa had, put it on their farm or their ranch or their cabin, and start making those memories that they have when they were younger. So it's usually, I'd say 90% of the time, it's like, hey, my grandpa used to have, my dad used to have, my brother used to have, we had when we were growing up, and I would like to get XYZ, whatever it is.
So do they send you out on missions to find the particular vehicle?
Well, that's my funny rebuttal whenever people ask that. I said, well, I can call up the used car factory and see what we can find
Yeah.
for you. And they're like, oh yeah, well, no, I get it. I mean, because sometimes they'll be real specific. Like, I need a 66 1200 single cab manual transmission 304 red with tan interior. It's like, all right, bro. Well, I'll do my best at the used car factory for
Yeah.
you, but like, the reality is we need to find you something that looks like that, that's close to that, and then maybe
That
it's red. Maybe
that needs
it's
to be a T-shirt, by the way.
yeah.
The
What's that?
406 Garage Used Car Factory.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough. We do get that call. I've tried really in the last couple of years to simplify things, and what I've done is I go out and just try and find the nicest, cleanest, original stuff I can come up with, bring it back to the shop, build it, finish it, and then it's just put it out there for sale.
Yeah.
So we're not so much taking the customer build as we are just providing the inventory for people to just pick from. So it's not to say we won't do it, but
Yeah. But that takes a probably a little bit bigger of a deposit.
yeah, and unfortunately, when people do that, God love them, it's a long process because things change throughout the build. And instead of being a 30-day or 60-day turnaround, it ends up being a 12-month or 18-month thing. And
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's tough. As a business owner, it's tough.
So what are some of your favorite builds that have gone through the shop lately?
We've done quite a few really cool Scouts lately. And we've done a couple. We did a really cool Travelall so we did a really cool 71 Travelall that was an original kind of that green mica color, and it had a roof rack and stuff on it. It spent a lot of time in Montana, and the family that had it had a cabin up at Flathead Lake. And so as their kids grew up, they had the Travelall just stayed at their cabin. It never came back to their house in their other place in Bozeman. And they would go up in the summer and they would use it, and it had a CVT, had a rooftop tent on it. They would go camping with it. They'd put the boat in and out of the water with it, and all these wonderful memories. And their kids all grew up. Well, their kids grew up to the point where they were like in their 30s, and their kids had kids. And the dad contacted us and said, I think I want to go through this Travelall and make it mechanically all, back to normal, back to daily driver use. Tire, we want you to do your tire and wheel package that you do on everything, and put a little bit of lift on it and shocks and interior and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, big build. So we did all that. We made it all super awesome and amazing. And it was turnkey and it was ready to go. And I called them and they paid their bill and we had a nice conversation. And then they said, our kids just really aren't as interested in it as we thought they would be. And I
How
was like,
sad.
what? No, no way. And he said, yeah, I really thought we were going to just kind of pass this on to the next generation, whatever. And he said, would you be interested in selling it for us and selling it to another family that would be able to enjoy it?
Yeah.
And so we did, and it turned out that the family that we sold it to, which ended up being, memory served me right, I think it went to Minnesota,
Okay.
but they had to travel all when they were growing up. They had been looking for another one. They wanted to get their kids into it. They wanted to start, and they were a young family. And so it literally went to a family that wanted to do with it exactly what this guy was planning to do with it and what they had done with it its whole life. So like it totally came full circle, but it was not at all the trajectory that I saw it going.
Was the original owner a little bit sad?
He was, but he was super happy, him and his wife, that it was going to a family that was going to do exactly with it what they were doing with it. Like they couldn't be happier.
That must be hard to put all that money into something just to flip it, and be like, oh, we're doing this with a purpose in mind, our story in mind. Oh, well, let's just see if anybody else likes what we did, right?
Yeah, like our personalized, setup basically. Yeah. So, and thankfully they did. I'm sure they will still make it their own, like everybody does. But for the most part, all the stuff that we did to it, they were very, very excited about to be able to use it.
So while we're talking about things going through the shop, how about the work truck? Talk about that bad boy. That thing is awesome.
So that idea has been living in my head for many years, and the idea behind that was we get a lot of people that reach out to us on YouTube or from YouTube and say, hey, first of all, we get a lot of people from YouTube that reach out and say, hey, we've got an old International and we don't know what to do with it. Would you guys be interested in it? And I love that because it's nothing that's ever been on Craigslist. It's nothing that's ever been on Facebook Marketplace. Nobody knows about it. So it's like, it's really cool that people reach out to us and they know that if they sell it to us, we're going to do the right thing with it. But we also get a lot of people that reach out to us and they say, hey, we've got this really old Scout. It was my grandpa's, da, 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 da. We don't want to sell it, but we really want to get it up and running and stuff like that. But we live in wherever and we don't have a way to get it to you or this, that, or the other thing. Would you be willing to come to our place and just get it running so that we can kind of get the ball rolling? So I've had enough of those over the years. I'm like, what would be really cool is if we built a service truck, just like a pay homage to the old service trucks that would go out to the farms and ranches from the dealership. We stocked it full of tools, and that's, we're going to reach out to some tool companies and some parts companies and things like that. And maybe, maybe AMSOIL, reach out to them for fluids, but we want to pack everything on the truck so that we have it. Then the idea is go to their farm, go to their ranch, whatever, show up, do what we can to get it running, film it for YouTube for the content. And then if we can't get it running, we'll bring a trailer and we'll take it back to the shop. But hopefully we can just revive it right there in the barn. Because most of the time that doesn't take a ton. Contrary to popular belief, it does not take a ton. It's fuel, it's fuel filter, it's batteries, it's fluids.
Running and street safe are two different things though.
Yeah. If it can what I call lot drive around the farm, that's a win. And then they can take it to the next level. Yeah. If they want us to go through brakes and put, tires that aren't 25 years old on it and on stuff like that. So
repack wheel bearings, swap fluids.
I think it'll make for some really good, I guess you would call it will it run content or saved from the barn content. I don't know what we're going to call it yet, but so that's the purpose of the truck. The truck is going to be the kind of the face of the YouTube, and that's what people will see when we show up to either buy your rig or help you get your rig running.
So it's a
if
medium.
Out there, want us to come reach out to us.
And it's a medium duty International chassis basically. And then what engine is in that thing?
DT466E, so it's electronic, and it's got an Eaton Fuller 6+1. It started out as it's an all-tech bed, so it was a railroad repair service truck in its early life. And ironically, and I think it had, I don't know, but I think it had a boom or it had a man lift or it had some kind of.
It looked like there would be a cherry picker on it or something.
Yeah, it did, because it has, most of those Internationals are a 8 or 10,000 pound front axle and like a 10 or 12,000 pound rear axle. Well, this has a 12,000 pound front axle and a 19,000 pound rear axle. So it was, and it's air brake, 33,000 GVW truck.
Wow.
Anyway, the guy we got it from, actually, him and his dad and his brother are subcontracted from BNSF, and they do railroad repair for BNSF as subcontractors.
Hmm.
So they were actually going out fixing railroad stuff with this truck for the last 10 or 15 years.
What
So,
year is it?
It's a 2000.
Okay. And
Yeah.
it's basically your typical, I mean, International made a gazillion of these things. They're box trucks and they're last mile delivery trucks, and they're around town with stake beds on them. I mean, there's just all sorts of stuff. It's just what you did to it. It's just really cool, and I think it'll serve its purpose really well, especially as a YouTube star.
Yeah, and the logo, I mean, the logo on the door is our logo, but what I mean is the graphic that's on the box. So that graphic, if you look closely, it says on-site service,
Yeah.
and it has stripes with kind of a jagged edge thing.
Yeah.
So that is almost an exact copy of a factory service truck, meaning like a dealership service truck that went out to farm and ranches from the 70s.
That's cool.
So my guy, the guy that did the logo, I gave that idea to him, and he did a bunch of research, found all the stuff, put his twist on it, and he designed all that so that I could have my logo people print it, cut it,
Yeah.
and then apply it to the truck.
Well, it looks good. I'm curious, do you still have that semi that you built a few years ago? Because you had built up a semi to go grab trucks from the Pacific
Yeah.
Northwest and bring them
So I have
back.
two now.
Oh, okay. So you're growing.
Yeah, I have the 379 Long Hood Pete, which pulls a 5-car trailer, so we can go out to Montana. And the idea is you just take the truck and trailer, and we go out, and we don't come home till the trailer's full. And sometimes that's 5 locations, sometimes that's 1 location.
Yeah.
And I recently acquired a 85 Freightliner cab over. So we have that now, and it's just a single axle. It's not a 3 or 2 axle truck, but
Yeah.
single screw drive. So it's a little bit shorter wheelbase, and it can pull we have a 3-car trailer, and it makes life a little easier for the in-town stuff because the Pete is
Long nose Pete's a
300
lot of length.
Well, it's almost 300-inch wheelbase
Yeah.
too. So that truck is like 31 feet long before you hook the trailer to it. It's amazing to go 1,000 miles on the highway in the Pete.
Yeah.
It is not amazing to drive it around town.
Well, I would imagine a cab over is pretty cool to drive because you basically just look right over the edge.
Oh, the thing turns on a dime. I love it. I'll have to send you a couple pictures of it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
It's super cool. It's very recent.
So why international for you? There's Chevy guys, there's Ford guys, there's Dodge guys, and then there's international guys.
So there's two sides to this. So the true reason is I grew up in my grandpa's travel, 71 travel, and we used to go camping, fishing, hiking, summer trips. He had a car top boat that went on top of it with a rack, and we had a little 21-foot tandem axle Shasta trailer, aluminum like style trailer, and we would pull that whole menagerie over the mountain to go camping and fishing in the summertime. And I always remember sitting in the front because it had the bucket seats. It kind of looks like a bench, but basically the center seat had a flip down deal, and right on the top embossed in the vinyl it says "no seat." And so I sat on that as a little kid because it made me go up higher so I could see over the dash. So I sat on that, and sure enough, there's a lap belt. So I had this lap belt all the way over the top. I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old. I was little. It was easy. And I just have a ton of amazing memories in that rig. And my grandpa passed away when I was pretty young, and my mom and dad kept that rig, and we continued to do all the camping trips up until my teenage years. And my teenage years was the 80s, similar to you. And gas was not cheap, and fixing vehicles that got 9 miles to the gallon was not cheap. And when I got close to driving age, my dad said to me, he's like, "You want to drive this thing to high school? I mean, do you want it?" And I'm, being a teenager, I'm like, "No, I don't want that old thing. It gets 9 miles to the gallon. It's 2-wheel drive, and it's a humongous wagon. No chicks are going to want to ride this thing." So he sold it, sold the boat, sold the trailer. I would give anything to have it back. I'm sure it's soup cans in China by now, in the wrecking yard. But
yeah.
But I've always liked having a vehicle when you go to Cars and Coffee or you go hang out with your buddies or whatever. I like having something that nobody else has.
Totally. And the cool thing about
having an international, nobody else has one.
I was gonna say
I love that.
The coolest thing about car culture is it doesn't matter if there's something weird. It doesn't matter if you're into it or not. People want to know about it, and they want to know the story behind it.
You show up to the Huntington Beach Cars and Coffee with all the big Lamborghini Huracans and Porsches, and you roll up in a 79 Pinto wagon with wood paneling on the side, every one of those guys is going to talk to you.
Yep. Every single one
Because
of
you
them.
have the weirdest truck or rig there, you know. Same thing with the internationals. They've, you know, so for me, it's paying a lot of homage to my grandpa, and my grandpa was a truck driver. That's the reason I have a Peterbilt. I don't want to be a truck driver,
Yeah.
but I've always wanted to have a truck because my grandpa had a truck,
Yeah.
and I've always loved internationals because my grandpa drove an international. So it's pretty deep in my blood and my body and my soul of what we do. You know, I have a lot of passion for it.
So let's transport ourselves back to the 60s and 70s when International was, you know, one of the big brands with the Fords and the Chevys and the Dodges.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. Now we're back in time. What was the value proposition of International? Why would you choose that back then over one of the other big three brands? And what made them special, I guess?
Well, I would say I learned most of my knowledge about this from talking to guys that are significantly older than me, because I don't think there's a tremendous amount of that history that's actually written anywhere that you can find. And what all the old guys that worked at these dealerships always told me was International was trying to make sure that they captured their customer for everything that they needed. So when you came in and you got your tractor and your wife needed a washing machine, guess what? They made washing machines. They made ovens. They made refrigerators. So not only could you get your tractor fixed, you could keep your wife happy and have a fridge or a stove or a freezer or a chest freezer or whatever. And the natural progression was, well, when you need a new vehicle, we want to be able to be the company to sell you a great vehicle. And much like a lot of their companies, they incorporated a lot of the motors and drivetrain from their farm equipment, their hay balers and stuff like that. That's the same motor that went into the trucks. So it was like, it was easy for them to transition of like, all right, well, we'll just take the motor out of the hay baler and we can stick it in the Scout. And, you know, I hate to be the guy, but to point it out, but the Bronco exists because of the Scout.
Hmm?
And anyone that argues that is silly, because you can look at a 61 Scout and look at a 66 Bronco, and there is a rumor from a lot of the old guys that Ford actually bought a Scout, brought it back to their engineering, you know, Skunk Works place, and said, all right, we need to copy this, but not copy it. And they went all the way around, and it's basically within 1 inch of all the same measurements of a Scout.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I've heard that rumor before.
And I think International should really be proud that a lot of these big companies were like, this little company in their eyes is doing some really cool stuff, and we need to do that. And again, back to like the square body Chevy. Everyone refers to the square body Chevy, right? That's the quintessential name of the Chevys of the 70s, is the square body Chevy. Well, the square body International started in 1969.
Yeah.
The square body Chevy started in 1973. So here we are again. You know what I mean? Like, I think that International's angle wasn't so much that they were trying to make an angle. It was the big three were trying to figure out, how do we do what these guys are doing? Because they're doing a freaking awesome job at it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think their business model, though, always, and all the old guys have said, is we want to cater. Once we get our customer, we want to keep our customer, and we want to do everything we can. Travel all, pickup, Scout, washer, dryer, chest freezer, refrigerator, tractor, combine, hay baler. We want to be their go-to thing for everything. And a lot of the farmers I've talked to over the years also will say, because International would put a dealership in a tiny little town in the middle of nowhere. They had no bones about where they put it. And a lot of those guys would go in to get their tractor there, and it was 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 miles to the big city to get a Chevy pickup, and they could just buy a pickup right there. So sometimes it was a convenience thing to where they just didn't want to go however far it was to another town to buy a truck. They just buy it because it was there.
I also heard, and I don't know if there's any, weight to this rumor, but I always heard that the Scouts and the Travelalls were built to a heavier duty spec than your basic Fords and Chevys, because they were made as basically rural and agricultural implements by a company that knew about durability, and so that they're built a little bit different than their competitors of the same day.
Yeah, the frame rails were quite a bit thicker. So fast forward to 70s, 80s, 90s even. You go talk to the guys that are building demo derby rigs or tractor pull rigs. They'll look for international truck and travel all frames because they were so much thicker and stronger, even in like a 3/4 ton versus a 3/4 ton Chevy, Ford, or Dodge, and they don't fold up as easily. So yeah, they were built to it. International Harvester. The joke is IH, iron heavy.
Yeah.
That's always been there. That's always been kind of the quintessential joke about it. It's like they're much heavier than everything else, much thicker, much. Unfortunately, they didn't do a great job at rust prevention. So a lot of them rusted a lot more because they didn't paint a lot of the inside of them, stuff like that. But I will say, majority of the time that we go get one of these rigs, it doesn't matter how long it's sitting, as long as it had fluid in it and the carburetor was capped and the radiator cap is on, I can make it run. Like they don't hardly ever seize up.
So was International, or did International have any firsts? I know you talk about some of these special customer vehicles that are AC and power brakes and power steering and all that. Were there any features on the vehicles that are pretty cool for their time period?
They were truly the first ones to build a crew cab pickup.
I mean, that's cool.
1957.
I mean, talk about being ahead of your time. Everybody thinks of Ford with the half-ton Super Crew in 2001 being sort of a watershed moment, but not really.
Yeah. And they went, you can actually look this up. They partnered with Airstream when they first came out, and they took 5 of those original 57 crew cabs with service beds, factory service beds on them, 4-wheel drive, hooked them to Airstreams, and they took them to South Africa and did the loop all around the southern tip of South Africa with them and crossed over all the bridges. And there's a whole black and white video series of it back in the 50s. And so this is a truck they first came out with, and they literally just put them on a boat and shipped them to South Africa with Airstreams and toured them all over the place.
It's awesome.
So there's a guy in Colorado, I think his name is Tim Smith, if I remember right, kind of generic. He's well known in the Jeeper community, big Jeep builder guy and stuff like that. He acquired one of those original ones that went on that South Africa trip, and then he got an Airstream, and he's slowly been putting it back together. He's on
That's
Facebook
cool.
and Instagram and stuff like that anyway. But so first with the crew cab, I think they were kind of the innovators of the 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive scenario, meaning all their vehicles initially in the 60s and 70s were 2-wheel drive vehicles with a divorced transfer case if you went 4-wheel drive. And they did leaf sprung on the front, so you literally can just bolt a 4-wheel drive axle in the front, put a T-case, a front drive line, and a shift linkage in, and you have a 4-wheel drive truck. They kind of did us a favor going forward, because you go look for old 2-wheel drive travel-alls and pickups, and they're usually in a lot better shape because they won't work as hard.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can get something that's got a really nice body, and you can instantly make it 4-wheel drive. So I thank them for that. And then going down the assembly line, it was easier for them. So they only had to have one style transmission, and it literally, all the frames have the holes drilled for 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive. So anyway.
How hard are they to find these days? I mean, I know you look at like the muscle car market and you go, all right, the Mustangs are all gone, Camaros are all gone, Mopars are getting really expensive. And then you go to the truck market, 67, 72, Chevys are gone. So then the bump sides got popular. They're gone. So then Dodges of the same era kind of started getting popular, and then dent side Fords and square body Chevys. And those are getting to be pretty ridiculous in price. Is International still one of those hidden gems, or are people catching on to it now?
I'd say in the last 10 years that I've been really doing this a lot, it is they've come up significantly in value, not to the Ford, Chevy, Dodge level. And the Scouts, the Scouts have actually taken off more than the light line truck and travel all stuff has, obviously, probably, because of Scout motors, a lot of other factors. But a lot of people have discovered it because they're like, man, I want to buy an early Bronco that's all built, and I want to put a Coyote motor and stuff like that. It's like, okay, that's $200,000. And
yeah.
Like, oh, that's
and they still rattle.
Right. And it's like,
it's still a parts bin Falcon.
Well, and you used to be able to go buy a Scout that almost ran for $500 to $1,500, and you can fix it up and make it nice. Well, that rig now is 15 or 20 grand. So that rig that done is 100 or 150. So they're getting there already. You look at Sean Barber, who ran he just finished the Baja in the Scout Terra, and he's got a shop called Anything Scout and New Legend 4x4. And they do modern, they'll do a Scout restoration with modern drivetrain. They have a full setup with LS platform and all stuff like that. Beautiful rigs. Those start at 285. Start. So like you want to talk about where they're getting to, they're already there. So we'll see what happens with the truck and travel alls, but they're definitely on the uptick right now.
Yeah, the
I
trucks.
hope they don't become unobtainium like a lot of other trucks have, because I really like them and I don't want them to get to that point.
Yeah, I was gonna
They've
say the trucks
been
are
a
cool.
working man's truck, so
The trucks are cool because they have their own look to them.
yeah,
They don't look like a Ford or a Chevy. Their styling is unique into the internationals, and when you see one on the road out in the wild, it looks different, and you go, oh,
Yeah.
what was that? If you don't know.
yeah. Even in the early years, the 40s and 50s, the A and B series trucks and stuff like that. You look at the advanced design Chevys, the 47 to 54s, and then you look at the Fords of that era and the Dodges, and they all do look pretty similar. And then you look at the international, and they don't look anything like anybody else's truck.
Yeah.
They really did have their own design, and in that carried through into the C series in the 60s and the D series.
So what's next for 406 Garage between now and the move? Between now, the rebrand, and the move.
Man, I told myself I was just gonna not buy too much stuff and try and pare down the inventory and everything else. And I got 2 phone calls in the last 60 days, and this will be on YouTube eventually. But the first one was from an elderly guy in his 80s. He had a property in Eastern Oregon and a property in Western Oregon, and he called up and said, "Loved your YouTube channel. I'm getting older. I don't want to leave all this stuff to my wife and my kids. Da, 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 da. Would you be interested in kind of looking at all my internationals?" I'm like,
Oh
okay,
my gosh.
internationals. What do you got? What do you got? Yeah, I'm thinking like he's got 4 or 5 internationals. And he probably has a tractor, and he might have like a little garden Cubs cadet or something like that. He goes, "Well, I've got 18 internationals, and I've got this, and I've got that, and I've got a hay truck." And he's like, "And if you'd be interested in," he's like, "I've got 2 Tucker Snowcats. You might be interested in those. You should come look at those. And I've got some square body Suburbans that are really cool barn doors." He's like, "You might be interested in those." And so anyway, we bought 18 internationals from him, 2 square body Suburbans, and 2 Tucker Snowcats.
You ended up getting it all?
I've already got it all.
Oh my gosh.
Sold most of it. Yeah, we bought the whole thing. Yeah. So that was 22 vehicles in one stint. Then I got another phone call from a gentleman who I've known for about 10 years. And I've been telling him that he's going to need to get rid of his stuff. And he has told me he doesn't need to get rid of it. And he finally called and said, "You're right. I'm finally listening. I need you to come buy all my internationals." And I knew that he had 17.
Oh my gosh.
So I went and bought his 17. So in the course of about 60 days, I bought 40 internationals.
Oh, and I
don't need.
I'm sure your banker is like,
You can hear it sucking.
all the money coming out of your account.
Yeah, and you're pushing the button, and it's just like, nope, no more, nope, no more, no more, no more,
No more for now.
no more for now. Yeah. So thankfully, of the 40 that we bought, we've actually sold 25 of them already.
Wow. So they were all pretty good shape, huh?
They were all very good, lot of very good pieces. And then I also, there was stuff that I knew what it was, so I knew I had a customer for a lot of it, and I literally just made phone calls and said, "Hey, I just bought this collection. Here's one of these things. You've been asking me for this, this, or this.
Yeah.
I've got one. Are you interested? Here's the price. I'll have it back this day. Come pick it up." And so a lot of them just went right off the trailer, unloaded. Customer showed up, put on their trailer, and took them. We didn't do any work to them or anything.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
it worked out really good. We were able to save all those vehicles, rehome them all, and I think I have 12 or 15 of them still sitting here. But
Nice.
It hasn't been quite as crazy, but it was a pretty crazy 60 days, and I tried to remember to pick the camera up every time.
Yeah, it's hard to, right?
But
Yeah.
yeah. Don't have a camera guy, so
Yeah. Well, it's just you, so it's hard.
I got 2 kids that help out a lot, but
yeah, but they're living their life, and they're like, "Dad, I got to go do fun kid stuff right now."
well, I know you watched my younger son. He built that OBS Ford. I mean, he tore that thing all the way down to the frame rails and put that all back together. He's
Nice.
been working on that for 2 years and finally got it done and got to drive to school this year for the first time. And so he's super stoked, but he was buried in that, plus work, plus sports, plus girls,
Yep.
My other son, same thing, sports, girls, truck. So
basically just like regular boys.
regular teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they want to go to Montana with me, so that'll be cool. And I've told them that they can, if you guys want this business, it's yours for the taking. If you, at some point when I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they carry the torch or not. We'll see.
Well, one of these days, I got to get up and see you because I haven't been to Oregon. There's a few people up around you that I know have moved up there, so I need to go do my Oregon tour of friends, and I just want to drive an old International. It could be a good ranch truck for me. I could get a 3/4 ton 4x4, and it would be perfect for moving things around and screw the modern truck.
There's also one thing we've been talked about for going on 6 years now.
Yeah.
That I told you that if you came here, I would show you how to drive along those peaks.
I've
always want to do that. I'm like,
true.
All you have to do is come here,
yeah,
and we will do this. This is now you had a little bump in the road this year.
Yeah,
yeah. But prior to that, it is 100% on you that you have not been here.
Well, it's like what 800 miles from me or something like that. It's almost the same distance as Denver, and I don't know.
It is no different than any drives you make to go four-wheeling.
Except I got to go through like the Bay Area.
You could
Northern California, where all the weirdos live.
You could do the 101 coastal trip. Bring Marin with you to go see the coast.
Yeah,
and then come up through the redwoods, and then
I'll go see Birdsall and Santa Rosa on our way up, and I'll go see Mark Allen.
I'd love to meet one of these days.
I love
he's watching his stuff.
He's a good dude. Go see Mark Allen when we go up there. Come see you. Drive a long nose P, but I also want to drive an old International truck too. So you got to put that on my dance card.
The door is always open for you, my friend. You know that. You just have to make a commitment and make the time to come up there.
Well, if there's one thing I have, it's plenty of time.
Yes.
What's funny is it's.
Oh my God, you're the worst person I
So
know.
bad. I know I'm probably the worst person that you know because I keep promising to come up there, but I really do mean it every time I say it's just impossibly hard because I just have so much stuff going on, school stuff and coaching softball and work stuff. And now all of a sudden work is like way too busy and it's everything. So I need to make a commitment to get out there and visit you because I really want to. And it's so crazy. And I want to drive up there. I don't want to fly. I want it because I haven't.
It's a lot more visceral experience.
Well, and it's just such a beautiful drive once you get past the wackadoos.
Yeah. Well, and talking about all that extra time, I've had the privilege this last week to meet a lot of your counterparts that used to work for the magazine with you. Nobody works for the magazines anymore. Nobody has the shows anymore. They've all found themselves with a whole bunch of time. And it was fun talking to those guys here when they were here, just to kind of get their take on it and how they are pivoting, to YouTube and to podcasting and all this other stuff. So
I'm gonna have Christian and Trent come back on and do a recap of that because I always like supporting those guys. I've been talking to Vern. I need to get my flat fender out to Vern and get it out of the garage and have him do a few things on it for me because I don't just so hard to find the time, and then you get to help out a friend and. Give him some work. But yeah, it's just there's just so much going on all the time. And I thought while I was laying in the hospital bed recovering, I'm like, this is my chance to reset and not be so busy and figure that out. And I failed miserably at it.
I found the only way you're going to be able to do it is to get on your calendar, figure out when you can do it.
Yeah.
Put it on the calendar, block it off, and force yourself to do it.
Yeah, I know.
Funny story about the Unreal Adventure, because I'm going to touch on it for you, because this will air after the Unreal Adventure actually happens. So those guys, they have every year they have the trailer drop, which is where they put all their trucks and trailers which is essentially it's the end of their route. And so they this year are in the Pacific Northwest, and they called me and said, because I know a lot of them, obviously we're all in the same circle. They're like, dude, would you be interested in letting us be the trailer drop? Because we know you got like big property and shop and gated, fenced, and like safe and everything. I'm like, absolutely, let's do it. So my place was the trailer drop this year, and then the funniest part about it was Christian and Trent and I were having a conversation, and they were asking me like, okay, hey, that's the finish line also for this trip. And at the finish of the trip, we usually go to a restaurant or bar or brewery or like a farm or ranch, whatever. And we have our awards assembly and our party and our catered dinner and yada, 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 where everybody comes together with all the rigs and we do a bunch of pictures and video. And they said, do you have any ideas of what to do? And I said, I'll throw you a curveball. Let's do it at my shop. And we were on a call like this, and they're like, dude, we've never done that. And I was like, I know, why not? And he goes, I'm all in. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Everyone's going to love it. And they don't tell the participants until they get to the final day. So all these guys don't know that even though they drop their trucks and trailers here, that this is where they're actually going to finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's been fun. And, having to keep it kind of a secret, which obviously you and I are talking about it right now, but it's fun. And all those guys are great. They're all people that I knew when I worked for AEV and all the other, places that I worked throughout the years.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun reminiscing with them and telling stories like, oh, you remember this, remember that. Vern, you mentioned Vern. Vern and I had a hilarious conversation.
I love Vern.
We knew that we knew each other throughout the circle for many reasons, and we've actually met at different places and events, Moab and Sand Hollow and this, that, and the other thing. But Vern said on his drive up here, he said it was really bothering him that he knew me, but not from four-wheel drive stuff. He's like, how do I know this? I know this guy, but I know him from something else. What is it that I know him from? So he gets to my place, and, everybody's walking around the shop, checking out the trucks, and, we're just all talking BS and whatever. Well, he walks over to the corner where I have all my RC car stuff, all my little RC rock crawlers and like that. And people don't know that we did, that was a big part of my life at one point. And Vern, he goes, light went on. He goes, dude, RC crawler and scale 4x4. And he's like, you and I used to nerd out on the internet, and we would buy and sell parts to each other for these scale RC crawlers. He goes, those fenders you have on your little Ford pickup right there, your tow rig, he's like, I built those for you. You bought those from me. And he's like, holy crap.
Small world.
25 years ago. So we figured out that Vern and I knew each other in a former life as RC nerds.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it.
Well,
dude, it's so good to have you on and catch up. If you are interested in anything international, but you do other things as well, if you're looking for a good shop and I don't know, you want something different than the Fords and Chevys and Dodges that are out there, check out 406garage.com, and the website's going to be getting a refresh. The new logo is going to be coming out. You can buy merch. You can also 406 Garage on Instagram and, of course, on YouTube, 406 Garage 3.
Yeah. We appreciate it. If any of you guys out there have internationals, you want to tell us a story, you want us to film a video about it, we would love to just come
or have 30 for sale because now you have space for inventory.
In the future, hopefully we'll have more.
All right, brother. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Ben. Sorry it took so long to get to this interview. This was another great conversation, and I'm happy to share it with all of our Truck Show Podcast listeners. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Truck Show Podcast, and I've got a lot to do this week in Moab, including hitting the dirt. So please excuse me, and because I'm doing this in the hotel room, there's no outro with me talking over the bed, so send me your thoughts by emailing the show, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com, or following us on social, @truckshowpodcast or @Sean P. Holman. You can leave us a message on the 5-star hotline. I want to hear from you guys, 657-205-6105. And, of course, you can join the Facebook group, The Podshed Insiders. And, of course, one more thank you for our sponsors, AMSOIL.com, for those who love your vehicles and want the best synthetics, oil change kits, car care products, and more. You can get awesome knives at a great price at Kershaw, which can be found at kershaw.kiusa.com, or the best and high-quality adventure gear, lifestyle, and vehicle reviews only found in the pages of OVR Magazine. Get free access to our digital library or a discount on print by heading to OVRmag.com and using the code @TruckShowPodcast. As always, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'm looking forward to doing it again real soon.
The Truck Show Podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis, hosted by Sean Holman, and uses production elements by DJ Omar Khan and Jay Tillis. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to support the show than by sharing it and patronizing our sponsors. Some vehicles may have been harmed during the making of this podcast.